Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas on Tuesday, May the 25th, and welcome to our video commentary. I'm going to recommend that you check out the podcast that we did on Tuesday with Leslie Eastman. She's a contributor to Legal Insurrection. She usually does a lot of their posting on COVID and science and stuff like that. She's a very interesting lady, and she joined us today in the podcast to talk a little bit about China and COVID. If you're following the news, you're probably hearing all these reports that all of a sudden now, everybody's talking about the possibility that this COVID began in a lab and that there was some irresponsible behavior. It's a very complicated story. I have to confess, I'm not familiar with all of it from a scientific standpoint, but I should say that from day one that this virus was associated with China a year ago. From day one, I was always very skeptical of China. I'm always very skeptical of a communist government, even though, of course, they're capitalistic when it comes to the economy, but it's still a one-party state run by communists. And I was always very skeptical of any information that came from China, whether it was the number of cases, the number of dead people, whatever. I was always very skeptical of any explanation that came from China. Again, how can you trust a country that doesn't have a free press? How can you trust a country that mistreats its own people? It's a very anti-human dictatorship. And apparently there was more to the story than just an accident. And if you've been following the news, there's now the talk that some scientist in that lab contaminated other people. It's a complicated story, which is why I want you to listen to our podcast with Leslie Eastman. It should be available Tuesday afternoon. But I think once again, I think it shows just how politicized COVID became in 2020. And if President Trump said, yes, China should be held accountable, automatically you had people on the other side saying, no, that's not true. Trump is just making this up. But I think that what's happening right now, not just on where the COVID came from, but overall on the success of the United States with COVID, what's starting to look more and more like a year later is that President Trump was on top of this. Not only did he put through the program to create these vaccines, but I think that overall, when he cut the flights to China, and I think overall President Trump was right on. And I think all of us benefited from that. And unfortunately, he was not reelected. Nevertheless, he certainly left the table for President Biden to do much of what he's doing right now. But check out my podcast with Leslie Eastman. She has a lot of great information about China. Thank you for watching. And if today is your birthday, happy birthday. Bye-bye, everybody.